I'm running out of time, every day goes by so fast. And every moment counts, baby, I don't wanna miss a thing. We can sleep under the stars, we can sleep under the stars, or hang out in hotel bars, driving somewhere in your car. We can sleep under the stars, we can sleep under the stars, under the stars. We can do what we like. We can do what we like, baby, while we're young, oh, baby, while we're
What is up, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the Camera Junkie live stream. My name's Lewis, also known as Mr. Camera Junkie, where I remind you to upgrade your skills before your gear. And if it's your first time here, welcome. Please be sure to introduce yourself into the chat so you can get the nice Camera Junkie crew welcome. And with that being said, as tradition goes around here, first thing I do is go ahead and check out to see exactly who are the first Camera Junkies in the chat. And right off the bat, we have Scott hanging out saying, did someone say new camera? I'm getting gas just thinking about it. Maybe. We got Parker saying hello to everyone, and we also got Paul hanging out. And those are the first people coming in as we wait for everyone else to start rolling in. Yes, new cameras on the docket, and like I always mention, upgrade your skills before your gear. For this reason is why I always emphasize that. But today's topic, or today's description title, was the gift of gifting, which is something that I mentioned at the beginning of the year as one of like my not so-called resolutions, you understand, but some of the things that I wanted to get better at. And one of them is to be a better receiver, right? To be available and open for gifts, because for a long time I would deny the gift of gifting to a lot of people. And it was just me trying, I guess my own stubbornness, or, just hard-headedness. But at the end of the day, it's basically that people would want to gift things to me, but I would deny them just because I would try to figure out how to do it myself, right? And a lot of times, most times, you're always going to need some type of help, some type of assistance. And for that reason is why I had mentioned that I wanted to be a better receiver for these things. Another thing that that I'm learning, right, to be a better receiver is to leave some voids, right? To leave some gaps so that there's availability for people to gift, right? Because I've learned from my own personal experience that the feeling that you get when you're able to help somebody out, the feeling that you receive when you're able to gift to others, is second to none. And I think that is a better feeling, right? Like better endorphins that you would receive. upon upon the act of gifting more than even so receiving, right? And that's something that, like I had mentioned, I would deny a lot of people, because when they would come to me with gifts, I would be stubborn, hard-headed, and just be like, I appreciate it, thank you for the gesture, but I'm just gonna deny it, which denies them from that good feeling, endorphin, so to speak, that you would get when it comes to that. So one thing that I would like to mention is that some of you know, or most of you know, that I am very fortunate to work with such an amazing company, Ecamm, and it's the program that I'm using to do this entire broadcast right now, to record all of my pre-recorded content. I absolutely love Ecamm as a program, and even more as a company and the people who work there. That is second to none. But something that I can speak about a little bit right now is that they recently went out of their way and sent out these gift boxes to all of the Ecamm moderators. So if you're part of the mod squad, then you would have received one of these gift baskets, and it's something that was not necessary at all, but the people from Ecamm actually, felt upon themselves that they wanted to do that. And it all falls into that same thing, that gift of gifting, right? The feelings that you get when you're able to help somebody else out. So one thing that we were all kind of fascinated last year with was this water bottle that we saw our friend Marcio walk around with all throughout Creator Camp last year. And everyone who saw that bottle basically was just like, that is so cool and so convenient, right? Even so much so that I thought about it so much that I ended up gifting that water bottle to my sister for Christmas, because she's a gym rat, and she's always with her iPhone as well. So it was just like a perfect combination, because the water bottle that I'm talking about is one called the Ringo. I have it in my hand right now. And the big thing about it is that you're able to connect or attach your iPhone directly to it through the MagSafe connection. So let me go ahead to my overhead shot real quick to show you. And this is the water bottle that we're speaking of, right? And as you can see, it's got this little tripod-ish iPhone connection right on the top. So you're able to take your phones through the MagSafe or whichever, attach them to the top, and then it basically sticks on, allowing you to utilize the bottle and your iPhone. This isn't the ideal phone for it, but I'm just trying to give you an illustration for it. It actually works on this phone, because it's actually not the iPhone XR. This is the iPhone 14 Pro, new phone for me. So I got that, and apparently that was the phone that Ecamm, or the computer, decided to use as my continuity camera today, so I just hung it up there. But that one would naturally just slap on top of here, and you'd be able to like utilize it. So let's say you're a content creator and you wanted to use it as a tripod. This is also a great height for you to utilize for FaceTime, for Zoom calls, for recording yourself, and like I said, for like the gym and stuff like that. This is ideal, where you'll be able to set up your phone to record and also utilize the water bottle like right within your cup holder while you're on the treadmill, or a variety of different things for a variety of different scenarios. But at the end of the day, it was just like really cool to see Marcio walking around with this iPhone tripod, water bottle. And like I said, that is stuck in my head so much that I actually bought it for my sister for Christmas. But I hesitated to buy it for myself, right? Because I had recently just bought a water bottle that was made, like I spent like $30 on a water bottle to help me drink more water. And I have it right over there. So I wasn't in need of a new water bottle, so I decided not to buy it. But what did that do? That left that kind of void, that opening available, so that when Ecamm took it upon themselves, which I had no idea, to send out these gift boxes, then now I have the water bottle that I had wanted myself for the iPhone, right? And like, it's such a cool concept. It will hold your phone even if it doesn't have any water. If you put a little bit of water, this thing is a solid tripod for your iDevice. And the ring itself is just like the handle to carry it around. So it makes it super convenient. And because I didn't go ahead and buy it, I am now able to appreciate this bottle even more and like put into effect the gift that was given to me from Ecamm. Because if I would have taken it upon myself, right, to have purchased this bottle for myself, then even though the gesture was there from Ecamm, it wasn't like it was going to be something that would change like my life or the way that I go about my day-to-day with my iPhone and my water bottle, right? I would have already implemented this type of system into my life. So even though it would have been a nice gesture, it wouldn't have had the same type of impact. And that's where I'm learning myself to allow these things to happen, to be grateful with what I have, which is why I always reference to, like, upgrade your skills before your gear, because you can do a lot with the gear that we have already in hand. Like, sure, like I have my iPhone 14 right there, but my daily driver iPhone is this iPhone XR, which, believe it or not, like the digitizer and on it is bad. So like it'll start touching by itself and going crazy, but because of it, I can't use it as a phone or a touch device, but the camera is still functioning. Now, of course, I'm extra, right, Mr. Camera Junkie, so I go ahead and I take a cheap little silicone case for it and build out with foam core a matte box, so to speak, to make sure that it doesn't get like light flare and things like that, and make it more of like a cinematic rig. But this is what I have hanging overhead. Oh, not that one. Over here basically all the time. So it's just the little hiccup today, but it gives it even more illustration to show you exactly what it is that I'm using. That I'm using an iPhone XR and making the most of the things that I had previously. But now, once again, like I said, it leaves that opening, that availability to actually be gifted. And going right back into it, right, I really now am able to enjoy and maximize on the gift that Ecamm sent in that box. This and a couple of other little trinkets that, like, this device cleaner is like this little spray, and like it helps you wipe your phone down. Freaking amazing. It's so good that I was just like, things that I didn't even know I needed in my life, and it's just now one upping them. So for that reason, I want to make it clear, I will thank Ecamm because they're awesome on a whole nother level, but that gift, it really shows how they go above and beyond. So thank you to Ecamm, but also trying to illustrate that it's received, I think, a lot better from me because I'm able to now implement them and use these gifts to the max. So going back to it, I have quite a few different cameras, right? The one that you're looking at right now is the iPhone, listen to me. It is the Sony A6100, right? I bought this camera 5 years ago, and I bought it to upgrade to get to 4K because my previous camera, my A6000, was great on video, but it didn't have the 4K capability. So before I purchased that camera, I actually purchased this camera. And this camera is my Sony a7R II. The a7R II is a full frame 42.2 megapixel camera, but at the time when I actually went to purchase it, the Sony a6600 was not even available. It was the a6500, and the a6500, being the flagship camera at the time, actually had 4K capabilities, but the a7R II that I had just shown actually had a lot of similar capabilities, plus it was a full frame photography camera. So instead of putting $1,600 into the a6500, I went in on this camera to level up my production in a couple of other areas. Plus, once I put it into 4K mode, it became a crop sensor camera, thus basically converting it into an a6500, right? Then shortly after, Sony introduced the a6600, which was the one that would proceed or take over as flagship over the a6500. And that camera is, you know, hands down levels above the a7R II that I was just displaying. But that's exactly how these steps are going. But right now I have a 4 camera setup, one of them being an iPhone, but I have an a6100, which you're looking at right now. I have the a7R II. I also have the iPhone, you know, continuity camera. It's not the XR, but usually that's the one that I'm rocking. And then as my overhead, I have my Sony ZV-1F connected via USB-C directly to my computer, giving me a 4 camera setup. But last year, I also wanted to, you know, I got the itch for a new camera and I wanted to buy one for myself. And I was waiting on some announcements from Sony. And once those announcements came out of the introduction of the camera that will now, I guess, be, I wouldn't say would it exceed as a flagship, even though it would, but at least in number, they went past the a6600 and they did the Sony a6700. Now the a6700 wasn't a direct like takeover because it leans more towards like the ZV line, but I digress. It does have a viewfinder. It has an upgraded megapixel sensor, and the one thing that it didn't do for me personally, right, with all the better specs, was that some of you already know I'm team flip up. So going back to it, I'm going to show you my a6600 because I ended up picking this body as soon as the a6700 was released, for the simple reason that the way the front facing LCD is a flip up screen, which is similar to my a6100 right here, and I actually prefer this to the side flipping LCDs, and is because of how the durability factor, right? I feel that this system, even though more convenient to keep it more skinny, so to speak, right, giving me the ability to still see myself if I'm that type of content creator, right, a vlogger, and at the same time the structure is like more rigid than having the LCD just hanging off the side. Another thing is that as a content creator myself, I actually prefer not only creating content this way, but also the content creators that kind of keep it streamlined, so that even though they're looking directly into the lens to create the content, if they so happen to glaze over to the LCD, it's still in line. I gotta be honest with you guys, it drives me nuts when I see content creators constantly looking at themselves and having a conversation with themselves saying, hey, what's up everybody, how are we doing, and they're just like looking past you, like, is there something on my shoulder, you know? So it's like, that's just me, right? So that being one of my pet peeves is why I always create content that I would want to see, which is why, going back to this shot, you'll see this little teleprompter and everything, because it just gives me the ability to keep everything centralized in front of me, that being the comments, that being like my audio levels, so that if by accident I were to go mute and I were to start talking and nothing were to come out, I could actually see that there's no levels jumping, and I have everything there centralized for me to allow me to make the content the way that I would want to watch it the best way, right? I think Marquez Brownlee is the one who said it. He wanted to become the YouTuber or the content creator that he wanted to see online. Like what he didn't find, he went out and became it himself. Just like Gandhi says, right? Be the change that you want to see in the world. So with that in effect, I picked up the A6600. Bam, because it had all the features that I wanted. It had the flip up screen, even though the 67 went flip out screen, and that was my final like deciding factor on making sure that I picked up this camera, because I know that I'll be getting other cameras in the future, but this was going to be the last model that came out with the flip up screen and with the best features. So I said, gotta pull the trigger on this, and I got a great deal from Doc Rock as well. So he babies his camera. This one he purchased and barely used, because he grabbed another one after he purchased this one, like I think a month after. So it lived in a box. I put more wear and tear on this device than he ever could, and I'm extremely happy with my setup, right? Because now I was able to keep my 4 cameras here and still had an extra high powerful camera that I was able to take with me without having to break down my entire setup. So I was able to leave everything roughly as is here, but then when I went to Podfest at the beginning of the year, I was able to rock out with my A6600, and this was just a workhorse, and it was awesome and still is. It's a great camera. But that leads me to the point where my best camera, so to speak, in my repertoire, in my arsenal of cameras is not so new, right? It's been around for maybe like 3 or 4 years already, right? And even though that I always preach upgrade your skills before your gear, there is availability for like upgrades in that fact. So that's where this all comes into play, and I would like to introduce to you the latest member of the Camera Junkie crew, the Sony FX30. Now let's take a look at this. Look at this guy. It is so pretty, and this is a genuine, like, amazing upgrade to basically everything else that I have in my kit. The Sony FX30 is a video centric camera from Sony. It's a chunky boy, so you can see it's nice and thick, but it's got a lot of amazing key features like a full-size HDMI. So now adapters that I used to have to run like so on my A6100, right here you can see that there's a cable that comes out and it just goes right to this spot here. This is the bolts that are connecting it to the cage, and that is a conversion from full-size HDMI to the micro HDMI that goes into the camera. Now, 2 things that this does is that it relieves the pressure from the micro HDMI that the Sony cameras use. So for this, I really haven't had a reason or any problems breaking my HDMI, because I've taken the weight off of it, right? And now that the weight is off of it and it's onto the cage, it allows me to attach the full-size HDMI and kind of be rough with this piece and not have to be so like lenient with it and getting that connection. It also leads to the ability to change the location or the size of the HDMI cable depending on your situation, because it's not a particular length for a particular setup. You're able to take any size length HDMI and get that full, HDMI signal out of it. But on the FX30, this guy is built right in, and because it's full size, this thing is made to take all the weight, and this thing really is not going to give any issues. Focus, come on, any issues with connecting and now giving me another thing or one less thing that I have to carry around with, because as you can see, this bad boy is kind of built out with a cage already built into it. You have quarter 20s along the top, the sides, and the bottom. And the main thing about this camera, leading it to be more video centric, is that it does not have a viewfinder whatsoever. So everything that you're seeing through it is going to be done directly through the LCD. But going back to the side, we have a standard like micro USB, right, for connectivity, but we also have a USB-C that does the same thing. We flip up the other door and we have a microphone and headphone jack ready to go, right? This little slot right here, this little gap that we're seeing right here, this is actually the fan. Oh, come on. You know what? Let me see if I can do... Okay, yeah, product showcase. There we go. I just turned on the product showcase mode, so should focus a lot faster. Okay, so this little slot right here, boop, this is the fan. So there's a built-in fan. So now when it comes to overheating on this guy, it's not even gonna be a problem. But we go now to the back, which, as you can see, got a variety of different buttons and connections. I've already added a tempered glass screen protector, right, to protect the investment, keep that nice and shiny. But man, this guy's having problems. I need to add more light. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna try to boost up the light a little bit. You should get better contrast to focus better. Okay, and you know what? I think the glare isn't helping, so let's go back to this. There we go. All right. So as you can see, upper left hand, we have the power switch. It just goes on and on. Right next to it, we have the power mode. Now, this doesn't have a mode dial. So if we look at the top here, we just have a series of buttons, but no mode dial. We have a mode button. So as soon as we click the mode button, both the front, or this one, the front, and the back dials become the way that you switch from modes. And this is like the camera mode, the, aperture priority, intelligent auto, S&Q, slow and quick, anything that's built into it, you would be accessing it through the mode button. Menu, of course, is going to load the menu, but wow, like that will be a live stream all on its own because there's so much packed into this. And FYI, I just did the 4.0 update for the software, and oh my god, this thing is feature packed, which is next level. Now we have numbered buttons all around. The reason why they're numbered is because they're fully customizable. You can basically change them to do whatever you like, even though they have certain designations for them. It's a Sony camera, and the operating system allows you to completely customize it to your liking. Now there are tally lights, meaning this little line right here is actually a glowing light. That front is a glowing light, and the record button here as well has a glowing light, so that once you are recording, you're able to recognize that this machine is in like it's working, it's in progress from basically any angle. Another part of the software is that the screen itself that you're actually monitoring will also have a red ring around it, also indicating that it's in recording mode. Now we go to the side and we have dual card slots, and surprise surprise, 160 gig Sony Tough CF Express A type card. Now this is also an amazing gift. I was just looking at it in real time. Now this is also the other key of this amazing machine, because once you have this type of bandwidth as far as the data recording, it unlocks all of the features of the FX30. So 4K 120, not a problem. This thing is a workhorse, and I've only had it in my hand but a couple of days. I really don't even consider today a day because I wasn't even able to mess with it until right now. But all that being said, we have a zoom rocker right on front. So if you're rocking or using zoom lenses or power zoom lenses, you'll be able to use that function through the wow, zoom rocker. Sometimes I run a blank on the words. English is hard today. And this is a 26 megapixel sensor, step up from the standard 24.2 megapixels. But in the end, at the end of the day, this is more a video centric camera. Now, the cherry on top to this is that it also came with the bundle kit. Boom. So it came with the Sony XLR handle that attaches directly to it. Now you have XLR audio directly onto this kit. Did I get them in there? I don't think so. Make sure we get it in there. There we go. Right. Hey, life happens. Oh, there we go. All right. So now that's what it looks like. Nice handle setup, allowing you to put bigger lenses and get a low functionality or low angle. It gives a full setup, and something that surprised me because I actually have the old XLR for the A7R2 over here to my right, that it has two XLR connections, right? But they're not only XLR, they're multi-port, so you could actually do lines in. And you also have a third right over here, which is a 3.5 millimeter jack. So for example, if you were to have the microphone that fits directly in here like I do, right? And we were to just connect this in here, what you have the ability to do is get high quality audio from the person or subject that you're recording. So let's say you're interviewing somebody at maybe an event, like something that just recently happened, like NAB, right? And you're recording on the floor. Now you have something that's pointed directly to your guest or to your interviewee, but instead of creating another contraption or using the other, you're able to put a small little lavalier, right? And connect it here at the third and have that connected to yourself, so that then you can then record your audio as you're getting that good audio from the person that you're interviewing. So an amazing setup, right? And all of this was gifted to me by a member of the Camera Junkie crew. And it's someone that I was just taken back, because once again, this was something that was completely not expected. And they reached out to me just last week, and they started sending me photos of this gear and this kit. And I was like, oh man, this is really nice. Like, that's a great setup. And then they jokingly said, can you handle this? And I'm like, what do you mean? You know, like, what are you talking about? It's like, this is for you. This is a gift from me to you. And not to finish off, right? Like, even added this little Delkin devices, so that it's a, what is it? A CF Express Type A card reader, so that I'd be able to offload the data being done. So all of this, right? The camera, the handle, memory card, the whole thing was gifted to me by the amazing Randall Brander. And I can't thank him enough. I stay in shock, right? But then it takes me back to the point of the feeling of gifting, right? And him having the ability to do it is one thing, but him actually doing it is a whole nother. And the fact that, like I said, this was completely unexpected. I even asked him, I was like, did you know that it was my birthday soon? Because it almost felt like a birthday gift, but it's something that's just so completely unexpected. Like, this is not something that I would have ever thought, but at the same time, I saw that I was doing my best, right, to leave these avenues open and have the availability, just my own mindset of upgrading my skills, right, and knowing that now that I have this piece of hardware, I know that I have the skills to maximize it. You know, I know that I've always had them, but now that I have it in my hand, I'm like, I can really now show you guys the differences of the things that I had mentioned before, because I already see a huge, and I mean a huge difference, because this little bad boy brings me into the world of 10-bit 422. So this is like the nicest log codecs in a much higher bit rate, right, in 10 bits. And this is something that I always said, like, you'll notice more of a difference between 10-bit and 8-bit footage than you would log or straight out of the camera. And which is why I've done pretty much everything with my 8-bit footage. Like I said, you know, upgrading your skills. Once you have correct exposure, correct lighting, the rest is going to be gravy, right? And you're gonna notice it inherently in the footage, right? You don't have to say like, oh, I did this. Is like, you can just see it. And that's also been my experience as far as photography and videography. Like, if you need to explain why your photos are good, then they're not good, right? You should be able to show somebody a photo and they just look at it and be like, wow, like almost like tasting a really good piece of cake, right? That as soon as you taste it, you're like, oh my God, that's delicious. It just melts in your mouth. You don't really have to say it, right? Like, your expressions themselves, the way you react to it is how the expression should come off, or I guess in my eyes, be felt. So that's where I always say, you know, make the most of what you already have. But now that I've kind of, you know, reached the limits of the 8-bit and what I am capable with it, I am now able to take the next step. So Randy, once again, thank you so very much. I'm really honored and humbled, right? Because this is something that I know I will cherish forever, right? I still have right over here my pod mic that Sammy gifted to me. So let me show it to you right over here. This is the shot, right? Bam, and it's right here. So Sammy Superstar gifted this to me 4 years ago when we first met, right? He knew that I really didn't have a microphone and I was using my Zoom, and because it was just available, right, and I had the need at the moment, he has a plethora of mics, so he just had an extra one. And if I remember correctly, like it needed a little like fixing, you understand, but nothing major. It was just like a couple of washers that needed to be put right. But it's such an amazing gift, and it's something that, like, once again, I cherish every single day. I have it here as a reminder of like how amazing that made me feel, and not to mention probably the good dopamine and endorphins that was able to pass along to Sammy for being able to give that to me as well. So that's kind of like my soliloquy on the gift of gifting, right? And why we need to do both, right? That we need to both gift more, whether it's something physical, tangible, or whether it's our attention and our time, right? To be able to gift that to someone is important. And the feeling that you get back, right, from being helpful, from being able to facilitate and help somebody else out when they're in need, is only going to be a benefit for them and for you in your life. So once again, thank you, right? And and I just sit here amazed and super grateful, and more than anything, extremely excited because, guys, this thing is a workhorse. I just started shooting log 10-bit. This thing's a monster, man. It allows you to record in S-Log 3, but then also has the ability to throw the Rec 709 on it. So you're able to use like your zebras, you're able to use your what is it, the focus peaking. You're able to utilize all those tools and then see the colors that would be represented right through the camera, right through the LCD, even though it's recording a flat log footage, allowing you to get the most dynamic range and get like an amazing picture profile. Because at the end of the day, what we're working with is what is your final product, right? What is the final product that you're going to get out of these devices? And man, this thing is looking so good. Now, once again, I'm in love with S&Q. Slow and quick, or slow motion. Slow motion on the Sony ZV-1F is amazing. On this is like, wow. And it's has to do once again with the 10-bit. Like the 10-bit makes that much of a difference, which I think I'm gonna be bringing up in a live stream soon, but soon we'll probably have to wait like 3 weeks. Because I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of information of what's going to be happening. Like I mentioned, I had said that I thought Randy knew that it was like my birthday, and this was like a premeditated birthday gift. But my birthday is on the 14th this month, so next week's live stream, I'm already dedicating it to be the birthday live stream. We're just gonna hang out. You know, I'm gonna see if some of you guys are even interested on coming up, you know, and inviting you through a like Zoom link or through the interview link to see if you guys want to hang out and chat, because it's gonna be more of like my birthday party type vibes. The week after that, the 18th, my sister is actually getting married. So her being married, meaning I'm going to be at the wedding. So believe it or not, hey, this is my thing. This is my streak here. And next week will be episode 180. Yep, 180. And that's the birthday. So 181 is going to be the wedding stream, right? And I'm going to see exactly how I figure it out. I don't think I'm going to be carrying a laptop and cameras and stuff like that, but things might change, because if I'm walking around with this bad boy, it might be very doable, because this guy also has that plug and play USB-C type camera. And if I'm going to be running around, you know, documenting a wedding, you know, not professionally, but for myself, and now I have this tool, I might be able to just like, you know, redirect it and connect. But one way or another, even if it is that I'm just go live through my phone, one way or another, I'm going to be going live on location from my sister's wedding a couple of weeks down the road. So it's like weird that I usually do these things during the week to figure out what I'm going to be talking about on the live stream, but to have a couple of planned out is a little different. So just so you guys have the FYI and our heads up on what's happening the next couple of weeks, because this week was just, once again, I was flabbergasted, and I'm super excited, guys. This is just such an amazing gesture, and I can't thank Randy enough, right? Randy has been one of the most amazing people that I've been able to meet or be aware of in my life, and meet him through this online platform. One of my first Camera Junkie supporters, and has been here like every step of the way. And for him to go above and beyond and send me a gift like this, and I gotta tell you guys, straight out of left field, he told me, and I just sat here for like an hour like, am I dreaming? Because, just to give you guys a little bit of context, I saved for just about a year to purchase this bad boy right here, right? And I absolutely love it. I use it every day, I think every day or just about, right? But with that investment, I knew that there was other cameras that were coming out that I knew that I wasn't just gonna be able to pick up as soon as I wanted to, right? Because the way the checking and the savings is set up, the funds, and I have to transfer, and it takes 2 to 3 business days. Leaving that where it is, right? Knowing that that's where I had put my shilling, so to speak. That's where I put my investment, and there's a variety of different cameras to hit the market. The FX30 was something that I had mentioned on a live stream, that it's probably one of the better cameras for me because of my setup and not being completely full frame, the APS-C, and having all the functionality of the full frame camera. Like, this is just like ideal for what I do personally. And oh man, I'm just losing my train of thought because there's just so much there's so much going on. But that there was other cameras that were available. Like, one of the other cameras that I was like, that's just amazing, that came out recently, is the Sony A9 III, right? Yeah, with the global shutter on top of the Alpha 1, which does pretty much everything in a nutshell, and 8K ridiculous. But at the same time, me knowing my limitations and what I do, I don't even have a computer for 8K to then start even thinking about that, and then to start thinking about the lenses that you would need to have in place to produce that type of content. It's just it's like knowing there's a trajectory to get there, right? And that something like this was something ideal because it allows me to take advantage of everything that I have already. And I'm just ecstatic. I can't thank Randy enough. And if you find it in your hearts, do the same, because that is just, like I said, something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. This is a camera that I am its first and only owner, and that's the way it will be. This is gonna be like an heirloom. The next person to own this camera will be Aiden, and I'm so excited for that, right? I'm excited for the content that I'm going to be able to create with this. I had mentioned to you guys last week about a new client, and there's going to be some work that I'm doing with them. This is going to fall in perfectly to take that production to the next level, right? So now, instead of saving my money to purchase said camera, what I'm doing now is I have an Amazon cart that's full of the accessories that I need to get this thing out the way that I want, right? So there's gonna be a little cage, and someone that I had mentioned before on Cities Gone, Mr. Caleb Pike, right? My soul MacGyver, so to speak. He's got an entire setup with everything, ready to go in the cart of what you need to set these things up. So I'm gonna be hitting up his links, and like I said, putting all those things into the cart to get this kitted out ideally for what I'm gonna do. So a V-mount battery with a cage and everything is in the future works for this guy right here. And at the end of the day, once again, I just want to thank Randy, and I want to thank all of you, because one way or another, we're doing all of this together, guys. That this community that we're building here is what we're doing week in and week out. And I got to thank you as always for making this the place that I want to be every week. Streaming live with the Camera Junkie crew. You guys are really the best, and this is just one small glimpse of the possibilities of what we're going to be able to accomplish together here. So thank you all, and thank Randy once again. Now let's go back to the chat. Actually, you know what? This is what we're gonna do, because we're talking about it, right? It was Cities Go, which is channels that I think you should go and watch. And guess who it is? Oh, there's too many windows open. Let's close that one out. Okay, that does it. Boom. There we go. Randall Brander. Now, another thing about Mr. Randy is that he's been blowing it out of the water when it comes to creating content. Now, as you can see, he's got quite a bit of videos uploaded into his channel, and seeming that he started after myself, he's got 1,800 videos uploaded. Wow, that's about the amount of subscribers that we have here in the Camera Junkie crew at the moment, and we're marching our way to 1,900 and to 2,000. And once we get there, I will be ordering my 2K creator pillow, right? My 2K play pillow, and I have it on my fourth wall. So FYI, if you guys want to pick that up for yourselves for reaching that milestone, if you're part of the crew, send me a message if you reach that milestone, and I will do my best. I'll see if I could send one out to you, and maybe that's something that I start, because 2,000 people, man, that's quite a milestone when you start thinking about it. Like, if you were to have 2,000 people in an auditorium and you had their attention, right? And you're on stage by yourselves, how would you feel? Because that's basically what we've been able to amass as of right now with the Camera Junkie crew, right? And Randy being part of it and being a content creator himself, I wanted to once again thank him for such an amazing gesture and gift, and also, you know, emphasize it and show to the Camera Junkie crew, another member of the Camera Junkie crew who's actually creating content consistently. Like, as you can see, he sometimes makes multiple videos the same day. So this week's Cities Go channels that I think you should go and watch is none other than the amazing Randall Brander. And thanks once again. And guys, go ahead and check them out if you haven't done so already. All right, and now with that being said, let's go back to the chat exactly to see what you guys are talking about. All right, we have Robert hanging in here saying what's up to the fam, myself and Mr. Moderator. Paul says ditto that. I think he was talking about the eCam stuff. Yeah, that would make sense. Jeremy says, it's a great feeling to know your efforts are recognized, especially by your peers. Dude, I can honestly tell you, like, and that's the whole thing. Like, the old me, right? The old me would have been like, oh no, I can't accept this, right? Like, because you know the price and the values that's attached to these things and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, it wasn't something that I asked for, and it would be extremely rude of me to deny that to Randy, which is someone who, you know, through the years already, I've already been able to call and consider a friend. And I, like, why would you do that to a friend? It's just still in shock. And once again, I don't think I'll ever be able to thank, like, the words thank you, I feel, to me fall short to the way that I feel, and that's why I guess I'm just repeating it to try to just like emphasize it and hit it home. But it's just, I'm being honest with everyone, that for it, right? I'm being honest. Not that I'm ever not honest, but I digress. It's just I think you can see the pure, like, excitement and joy just like bursting out of my skin, because it's almost like I can't take this shit-eating grin off my face. And I gotta thank Randy, because he's the reason why I'm feeling this way. It's just extremely humbling, heartwarming, and I'm super grateful for not only the camera, but the entire experience of the Camera Junkie crew and the things that has happened so far and things to come. Paul says, I use the water bottle every day and I love it. I do too. You know what? I need a sip right now. That's another thing. If I would have bought my own, it wouldn't have been branded. Perks. All right. And Robert saying cool water bottle. Ravens Talk with Yolanda, how you doing? Welcome. We've seen you on doc streams, but I think this is the first time that you've, chatted here. So welcome. And yeah, it is a very nice water bottle. Gretchen's in the house saying, oh, hi, Lewis. I like the look better than the biology teacher flashback. Okay, hold on. Let me take care of my notes. The nasal infection still a little there, so little buggy, but that was earlier today that I actually went into Discord using the Apple Vision Pro, and that when you're using this, your avatar, your digital avatar comes in, and that's what she was mentioning, that it gave her a vibe of a previous biology teacher, the way that I was looking as my avatar. But then there was the whole like ghostly effect of like me turning around and disappearing. It was just a whole lot of fun over there in Discord earlier today. Okay, Robert says leaving things set up is such a pleasure. Oh, tell me about it. Striking and setting up can be a total pain. Having extra cameras is certainly worth the expense, in my opinion. Absolutely. And this is the whole thing. Like it is a convenience, but the fact of being able to just like have it, like, because I was gone for just a week, you understand, and that I use this setup every day in my regular work to break it down completely, and it would have been just a lot more of a hassle than it could be, right? And now I gotta tell you the truth, like FX30 for video centric stuff, right? Like the camera for video, while I'm walking around with the viewfinder on the A6600 snapping photos with a zoom lens, like this is the 1-2 punch, you know what I'm saying? Like pow pow, right? So you got a 1-2 punch like this, my entire bag of lenses. And right here, believe it or not, like I'm not using my autofocus lenses, right? Like I used to use my Sigma 16 millimeter f1.4, right? And that's sitting right here. So what I did, and let me take you to that shot, right? Over here, if you look at it, this is a vintage lens. This is my Metabones adapter. So this converts Sony to Canon. So then this A6100 effectively becomes a Canon mount lens. I then mounted my old Canon 19 to 35 millimeter f3.5 zoom lens, or wide angle zoom lens, right? And I have it set up on manual, so that while I have it here, I can put my hand up front and it's never gonna lose the focus plane because it's set up manually. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to the back. You can see I'm now completely out of focus, and I will remain out of focus until I fix it. And then if I do that, you see now the back is in focus and I'm out of focus until we fix it again. But you find that sweet spot, and then you're set. You don't have to worry about focus, or losing focus, better said, right? You're able to like zoom in and out. And then the other thing that this prevents, right, which is why I say upgrade your skills, is knowing the difference. Like autofocus is great, but that is if you had like one camera that you're trying to show, right, items of. Because I have the luxury of an overhead camera, I don't need to use the autofocus on my main camera. I can just leave the autofocus for this one, right? And look, a reflection of me in the background, right? So now, because it's focusing on this camera, or like this is the one that I left with autofocus. It then allows me to once again have this camera manual focus, so that if I were to like point at it or bring my hand over, it's not going to start doing that focus like hunting, right, where you know the camera's like going in and out, which could be disorienting. But this allows me to look, I could just basically now change the live stream and start talking to you from a completely different angle and be like, what's up everyone? And now I have this completely different angle, and I know that I'm in focus and I don't have to worry about it hunting, or that if I were to bring my hands out or anything like that. So people forget that manual focus is beneficial in a variety of different situations, right? Especially if you're behind the camera. But if you're running a one-man show or a one-camera production where you need the camera to do it all, then there are different aspects for you to take care of it. But if you have multiple cameras set up, I highly recommend thinking about manual focusing, a couple of them, so that you don't have to worry about it missing focus or changing, right? Because even though I have this camera set up on manual focus, if I were to put a digital lens on it, right, and set it to focus, it's still a digital lens. So immediately that I would turn off the camera, it kind of resets. So the next time that I would turn on the camera to utilize it, what will then happen was that it will go back to zero as far as focusing, then making me have to go back to reset that focus. With old school vintage slash, you know, lenses, then you're able to set them in the manual aspect and they're not going to move because nobody moved them, and there's no electronic feature to shift the glass on the inside to lose focus. So it's basically like set it and forget it, rotisserie style, and you're able to set up multiple cameras that way, right? And then the cameras that are autofocus, right? See that hunting of that? That's what we avoid, right? Of like the shifting of the camera going in and out, because it's hunting for the correct focus, even though this pretty much puts like everything in focus. As you can see, like this pencil, or you know, like this cup with like odds and ends, is just as much as focus as this Rode microphone, and the spectrum is quite large. But then when you go to the other ones where you'll get more of the focus plane, as you can see, the backgrounds got the bokeh and the nice creamy backgrounds, right? And another thing about it is, like, let's say you were in a Zoom meeting, right, and this is just another thing, and you would like to leave the shot, right? With manual, you know, focus lenses, you're not worried about it jumping to the background and trying to show what's going on in the background. That stays nice and blurry, looking like, you know, a nice blend of colors. And as soon as you hop back, you don't have to worry about it focusing back to you because it never lost focus in the first place. But that's enough about that. So now that's an incredible story. Way to go, Randall. Yes, thank you, Randy. Oh, that's actually a good idea. You know what? Thanks, Paul. I'm gonna see about doing that. I'll probably put the FX30 kit in it, right? All the little cheese plates and stuff like that I need, so that if anyone wants to take it upon themselves to birthday gift me something on that list, they can do it right from that Amazon list, right? Thanks for that idea. I never think about these things for myself, right? And this is just the way that I am. I'm trying to be better, right? Like right now I'm saying, if you haven't done so, please hit the like button. It goes a long way, and I always forget to ask, right? And if you haven't subscribed, do the subscribe and all the YouTube things wherever you find the buttons, right? So I always forget to say that stuff. I need to get much better with it. Says I missed the model of the camera. This is the FX30. This is the cinema line camera, but this is the APS-C size sensor. So it doesn't have the full size or full frame sensor, which is much better for me. All of my lenses are APS-C because I carry it. Another thing to always think about, which is full frame is a better system, but better is also sometimes more expensive, right? And it's not just the camera themselves, it's all the lenses, and the lenses could then be substantial. And if you're like me, a camera junkie, you're gonna have quite a few lenses. We saw a glimpse of Gretchen's lens collection just for her Canons not too long ago, and people were blown away. And I have quite a few APS-C lenses, and that's not including my vintage lenses, because this is a Tamron. How old is that? I think that's from like 1969, right? That lens right there. So this look here is from Nikon. Yeah, it's a Nikon lens. So it's a Nikon lens from, yeah, I think it was like 1969. '68 or '69. But anyways, this is a Tamron 28 millimeter f2.8. And this was like a really fast, sharp lens back in the day, right? But one thing that it does do is that it gives like a certain, color aspect or like filmic look to this image, and the sensor is only going to put out with the glasses in front of it. I also have a Pro Mist filter on it to also add a little bit of that like creaminess that looks so nice. All right. So hopefully that was the information that you were looking for, Jeremy. Oh, thank you, Paul, for putting that up for the pillow if you were interested. And thank you for dropping Randy's channel link. I appreciate it. Hey, John's in the house. Let's see. He says, hi, guys. Checking in a bit late. Never late, man. You made it. You made it. You understand? It's like if we were hanging out at a bar, right? And we're like, hey, we're going to be at this bar, hanging out at 10 p.m. on a Saturday night. If you made it at 10:30, you made it, right? Like, hey, you made it. Like, sit down, grab a cold one. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way that I always see the Camera Junkie live stream, is just the hangout, kind of like Cheers, where everyone knows your name and you can just, have fun, relax, and you're always appreciated no matter what time you're able to make it. So Jeremy says, oh, the FX30, welcome to the club. Oh, it says, if you need help with it, hit me up. I'm a daily driver almost a year now. Oh, okay, definitely. Okay, then let me see if you can answer this one question, because it's the one that I've just been skimming off the top of my head, which is all of my Sony cameras, right? All of them have this feature that when I am in cinema mode, right? When I'm in the movie mode as the option, right? When I'm in movie mode, I'm able to change the shutter button. Actually, let me take this microphone off to show you better. And if you can't put it in the chat or anything, you could always send me a message on Discord. So this is the question that I have for you, okay? Sony a6600, when I have it in movie mode, as it is right now, actually. Movie mode right there, right? Boop. Right? When I have it in movie mode, I don't have to hit this button, because within the menu, I've changed my shutter button to become the record on and off. So I'm just accustomed to all of my Sony cameras for me to be in movie mode and hit record and record off. Everyone has always talked smack about this button here. I've never had a problem with this button, right? Only unless I'm like behind the camera, which hitting the shutter button fixes it. Because if you're a vlogger, right, and you're holding the camera like this, and like I said, you're selfieing, that button there is ideal for turning it on and off. If you can see how easy it is for me to hold it, and I'm like, record, record on, record off. So when everyone's always said, like, why would you put a button there? I'm like, why wouldn't you? It's ideal for holding the handle and being a vlogger, right? But I digress. My question to you is, how can I turn on the shutter button in movie mode on the FX30? Because as of right now, I haven't found it, right? And it sounds like why do you care? I'm gonna tell you why I care. Because when I'm here, that's where my finger's at. And when I've gone to record now, I go from here to having to go like this, right? Or sometimes like that from the top. Now, the thumb from the top down is not too bad, but I'm always usually like this. And if I'm using the not flip up screen, but flip out screen, right? It's not that it's not good, it's just not my favorite. So let me just be clear, right? It works, but I end up using the pivot point, right, on the LCD as a pivot for the camera itself to basically give me a good you know, like a pan. Is that pan? No, tilt. I'm running a blank right now, but I digress. So basically I'll just keep this where I can see it, and if I'm recording and coming from a level down, I'm literally using that pivot, right, to help me adjust it. And while I'm doing that, holding the camera here, the thumb and the record button just becomes a little bit of a pain. So not the end of the world, right? But let me see if you know exactly how, because I'm looking in the menu and I haven't found the you know, record with shutter option. So that's where I'm at. If you don't got it yet and you need to figure it out a little bit, like I said, shoot me a message in Discord, and when I'll be able to see it, I would appreciate it. But that's my question to you. So see, and this is part of the Camera Junkie live stream, guys. This is why I absolutely love this amazing community, because you have people just like that, like Jeremy, hanging out here, shooting me the message. Oh, I'm getting messages off the side, so I'm getting distracted. No scrolling at the moment, but that yeah, this is what I love about the Camera Junkie crew, right? Like, he's already telling me he's been, you know, rocking this camera for over a year, so that if I need any help, and right away I'm able to ask a question, because as I now have this piece of kit in my hand, I'm able to learn the ins and outs. So like, here's a little bit of information, right? You're able to connect the USB and use this as a webcam, right? The Sony ZV-1F, which is my overhead camera, this guy right here, right? This guy right here also connects via USB-C, but the maximum resolution that it will give me in its totality with the USB-C connection is 720, right? That is the max resolution that you will get using the USB-C connection, like as a webcam, with the Sony ZV-1F. Now this guy can do 1080 60 through the USB, 1080 60 as a webcam, and it can do 4K, but it only gives me 15 frames a second, and I'm like, that's kind of unusable. I'm just being honest. There's no reason. I would much prefer a 1080 60 or even a 1080 30, right? That's going to give you adequate motion blur and movement than doing 15 frames in 4K. It just doesn't, that's just my opinion. That's just the way that I roll. But not talking about that. What I mentioned, or what I wanted to mention, was that I went and I connected a standard USB-C cable that I have here, right, for my, it was the one from my MacBook. So I took my white USB-C cable that connects from my MacBook Air, right, to power it up, and I connected it to my MacBook so that I can use it and utilize this as a webcam. What it told me directly from the screen, like, the screen in here said, hey, the cable that you're using is inadequate. It is not strong enough to handle that 1080 signal, and because of the latency or the slowness of that cable, we're limiting the camera's USB-C webcam feature to 720. And I was like, holy crap. That's, first of all, amazing on two different things. Amazing that it was able to recognize and do that, and and second, that it told me, right, that it told me, hey, you know what, your cable is not good enough, you need to upgrade it. So I went and I started digging, and I grabbed this bad boy. This is the one that comes with the Rodecaster Pro. It's a USB-C 3.0, right? So it's got 3.0 speeds, which is like the equivalent to what I mentioned before, 40 gigs per second, something in that realm, right? And as soon as I connected this to the computer, to the camera, boom, 1080 60 without a problem. It would do the 4K, and there was no latency issue. So first of all, the fact that it can do that. Second, the fact that it recognized and let me know, hey player, you need to get a better cable for it. That was just like, it was really, really impressive, right? So definitely there's a lot to learn with this bad boy. There is going to be something I was thinking like, oh, this would be ideal to make it my main camera because, you know, of everything, but I'm going to mess around with it. I'm going to do some recordings with the 10-bit, but then at the same time, like, I think I'm going to get much better use out of this guy using the 10-bit, recording it internally and maximizing, you know, everything as far as dynamic range and file size, you name it. Like this guy's got it. So yeah, that's it for the FX30 and my surprise new camera. It was a surprise to me, and I want to, as always, thank you, every single one of you, because it was gifted to me by a particular person, but it's the entire community, this entire thing that has been able to make this happen. And as always, I gotta thank all of you guys for making this the place where I want to be week in and week out. All right, let's go ahead. Yep, Paul says, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Yes, please do. Says, yes, you can do that. There's actually 3 buttons that you can press, start, stop, and you can rematch them pretty much. That's what I was thinking. Like, I just haven't found it. So we can hop into Discord at any time. Just need to switch my main camera to my Osmo Pocket. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Then we'll see. I don't know. I'll probably see if I hit you up on Monday or something, right? If I haven't figured it out, right? Just saying, because tomorrow I got plans, of course, also with my father, setting up for a upcoming wedding and a lot of different things. So yeah, everything's just like jam-packed, and there's a birthday in there too, right? Like, and that's a whole nother thing. Like, the majority of my family were all in May. Like my niece is tomorrow. She's born on the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, she don't got a chance, but that's a whole different conversation. She's half Puerto Rican, half Irish. So yeah, it's a wrap for her. But my other niece, Jocelyn, she's the 8th. I'm the 14th. My sister, the one who's actually getting married, her birthday's 2 days before she gets married. She's on the 16th. It's just, we're all a bunch of May babies over here at the house, you know, at the Vega household. So yep. All right. Gretchen says that cable reporting is an amazing feature. It is so cool. Thank you. It says, thank you for a great stream. Thank you for hanging out. This always makes it the best for me. It says, just let me know I'm around. I will hit you up if necessary, sir. And you, as always, are appreciated. But guys, we did it. This was episode 179. 179, you heard it correctly. Yes, 179 consecutive weeks of the Camera Junkie live stream without skipping a beat. That is over 3 years, and we're climbing to year 4. We're already into it. We're just itching our way closer and closer to that milestone. So, you know, as always, I want to thank you guys, the Camera Junkie crew, for making this the place where I want to be week in and week out. I'm going to get some food right now. I'm gonna watch UFC 301. I believe that's the one that's happening tonight, so I'm gonna watch the replay. That's the plans. Gonna hang out with Pops tomorrow, and we'll see the way that everything else figures out. So now, if you haven't figured it out, right, we're gonna do this every single week. So next week, same time, same place, we're gonna be here for episode 180. So make sure you mark it down on your calendar. We're gonna be celebrating or pre-celebrating my birthday, which is just a couple of days after of the following week on the 14th. And yeah, so we're just gonna be hanging out doing the Camera Junkie birthday crew live stream. And like I said, I'm gonna see about, you know, seeing if any of you guys want to jump on and you know, and hang out live. We will have the ability to do so. So mark your calendars and just set yourself up for it. So next week is the Camera Junkie birthday stream, and the following week on the 18th we will be doing it some way or another from my sister's wedding. I really don't know the time frame, right? I don't know if I'm going to be home already, right, or on my way home, or if I'm gonna be doing it live from location from, like, you know, an iPhone or something like that, which I will also have the capability to do. But one way or another, it will be getting done because the streak will continue and I will not skip a beat. Episode 180 and 181 are already, like, you know, scheduled and penciled in. So everyone, thank you. That's it. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I can't wait to see all of your smiling faces as we do it all over again next week right here on the Camera Junkie YouTube channel. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you next time. Talk to you.